Hi, my name is Dom. I'm from White Horse Coffee, and this is the very first episode of the What Would Dom Do show. This is a new segment that we're launching where you guys get to ask questions about specialty coffee, about how we do things at White Horse, and I'll do my best to answer them. And in this very first episode, we're going to answer a question that a lot of you asked, and particularly this one was asked by Jim, so thank you, Jim, and that is, how do I get a very good extraction of coffee on my home espresso machine? So here we go.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess what Jim is really asking is it possible to get the same quality of coffee at home as what we achieve inside a cafe or any White Horse coffee store? And I really believe that answer is yes. But I think first of all, it starts with the equipment that we're using. If you're serious about achieving quality espresso at home, you have to use a scale. Now we do sell these scales in store, but these pocket scales are a vital tool in not only achieving quality, but achieving consistency in cups of coffee over a long period of time. And after a while, after using a scale to achieve your dose and the amount of coffee beverage weight that we brew out, you'll start to get consistent and comfortable with your routine, and you won't have to use the scales as often. The next piece of equipment that we do need to focus on when brewing espresso is a really good quality tamper. This tamper is by Pullman. It fits our portafilter basket precisely, and that's why they're the preferred tamper for White Horse coffee. I understand that if everyone doesn't want to go out and purchase another tamper, the tamper that comes with the machine, this one here, is perfectly fine, and we're going to show you guys how to use these tampers in a later episode. But for today, we're going to be using the Pullman tamper because it is superior in achieving a perfect coffee extraction. I suppose another handy piece of equipment is a timer. Now this particular coffee machine displays the extraction time in this LCD screen here, so I don't need this timer today. But if your particular machine does not have the timing function, a little $2 timer like this is invaluable. Alternatively, if you don't have a timer, you can just use your iPhone, and every phone has a timer these days. So to start the brewing process, every time we take our handle outside of the group head, we should always be giving a little bit of purge of water. That regulates the water temperature and washes away any old coffee particles that would be stuck to this dispersion screen, the shower screen underneath here. We're always towel drying our portafilter basket, and the reason we do that is because water has a funny disposition to get attracted to other water. So if this is particularly dry, 100% dry, we will force the water to interact with the coffee that's here and draw out all of that flavour instead of going straight to the other particles of water that are in there and passing around the ground packed bed of coffee. Now with a scale, we're always turning it on and tearing the handle. After we've teared our handle, this particular grinder is a really good grinder because it has a grind time. You can see the grind time here. And so what it is, it's an electronic grinder that distributes the coffee dose for us. So at this point, I'm just going to actually tap the portafilter over the knock tube. And what I'm doing is just settling the coffee, and that way any excess coffee doesn't fall on our bench. And at this point, we're going to go back to the scale to check the coffee dose. So if we're over our dose, just take off a little bit of coffee. And by being accurate at this point, will really enable us to brew consistent coffee over a long period of time. It's really critical to put the exact amount of coffee in and to draw the exact amount of coffee out. So going back to our tamp, I like to tamp flat on the bench, In the stores, we tap on the edge of the counter, pressing down this way, but at home, you know, you don't want to be damaging your table bench. So tamping flat, just like this, is probably the way to go. So with tamping, all we want to be doing is pressing down and being level, turning, and we're doing that 3 times. Removing any extra grind particles, inserting the portafilter. At this point, putting the scale underneath, tearing, grabbing any cups that we want to brew with, and brewing the coffee. So normally, if we didn't have a timer inbuilt to the machine, I would have pressed the timer as I pressed the brew button, but this machine enables me to time the extraction. And now I'm weighing the coffee, so there's 3 key pieces of information that we're tracking. So those 3 key pieces of information, the dose, the beverage weight or yield of coffee, and the time, all come together to equate what we talk about as a brew recipe. And you might hear these terms throughout specialty coffee cafes and leading baristas talking about how they brew their coffee, and that is what we call our recipe. Now, following your recipe diligently with dose in, beverage weight out, and then finally adjusting the time to your flavor will further enable you to get consistent and trackable results over time. So for example, with this particular coffee that I've brewed today, I brewed with 23 grams of coffee dosed. I drew out a beverage weight of 50 grams of brewed coffee, and it ran for 31 seconds. That is right on par with our standard brew ratio for white night espresso, and that's how we think it represents its best in the cup. Now that coffee to me tastes perfect. It tastes like a perfectly extracted white night espresso. So I really believe that achieving the quality that we can get in the cafes is 100% achievable, and over a long period of time for the home user. And there it is. Brewing at home using a recipe really is simple. If you ever get confused about how to go about this, we have a pre-written blog on our website, which is www.whitehorsecoffee.com.au, and we cover all the information you need to know about brewing recipes on the espresso machine. Now, I think really the key purchase that anyone needs to make is this little pocket scale here. They come in at $25 and they're extremely accurate, and I think that they're a priceless investment in terms of how to achieve consistent quality cafe level results in the home. Also, just a teaspoon will allow you to adjust your dose accordingly, and I think that's really all you need to achieve, you know, those results that everybody's looking for. Thank you very much for watching the first episode of the What Would Dom Do show. If you have any further questions, please get in contact with us on Facebook or Instagram. And thank you very much for watching.